It's week 7 in the NFL, and we have 3 more best bets to give you guys for this Sunday, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBettors.com. We have 3 more NFL bets to give you this week. But first, if you're new to Grandstand Bettors, go ahead, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our NFL picks and NFL predictions all season long. While you're at it, smash that like button if you are ready for another great afternoon of NFL football. But without further ado, let's dive in to NFL Week 7 and our 3 best bets. And the first game we're going to look at is going to be with the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. This matchup is in the 1 p.m. Eastern time slot. Patriots are a full touchdown favorite. The over-under for this game is set at 42.5. Now, the Jets coming into this game 1-4 on the season. They're coming off a bye week after returning from a defeat against the Atlanta Falcons in London a couple weeks ago. The Jets rookie quarterback, Zach Wilson, has looked just like that, a rookie. This guy's thrown for 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns, but 9 interceptions on the season so far. 4 of those actually came week 2 against Bill Belichick and the Patriots, as the Patriots won that game 25-6, and that was actually a home game for the Jets. Now, one easy way to shut down Wilson's passing game is to really limit his ability to throw to wide receiver Corey Davis. Davis, by far the number 1 target on the team, has 300 receiving yards on the season and 3 of the 4 touchdown passes thrown by Wilson. If, however, there is a game that Wilson may be able to turn the season around, might be this one against the Patriots, as the Pats secondary, who started the season off very well in the passing defense, has given up 750 passing yards in the last 2 weeks, including 445 to Dak Prescott last week. If the passing game is non-existent for the Jets against the Patriots, the game's essentially over, because the Jets are lacking a running game. If even by saying lacking of a running game, that is a big understatement there. Michael Carter leads this team with 165 rushing yards through 5 games. That is abysmal. On the other side of the ball, Patriots, they're coming in 2-4, but let's be honest, Mac Jones and this team could probably be 5-1 if it wasn't for some coaching decisions and Tom Brady at that. Now, coming off that heartbreaking loss to the Cowboys last week, Mac Jones and the company will be fired up for this game. Jones had a very decent game last week, 15-21, 229, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Now, Jones is looking like he may be the quarterback of the future and may be in the league for a long time. He's thrown for nearly 1,500 yards on the season, 7 TDs to 6 interceptions. His ability to manage the game and throw to open receivers has really been what has got him to this point already this season. Once he limits the turnovers, he's going to be a very, very good quarterback, and that might be sooner than later. Speaking of open receivers, Jones really spreads the ball around. 6 different receivers on this team have over 200 yards receiving, and Jacoby Myers, his favorite, has 346 yards on the year with over 50 targets on the season already. Now, the Patriots, they do have the 6th worst rushing attack in the NFL. They're only rushing for about 87 yards per game. But Damian Harris, he's coming off a 100-yard rushing performance last week. That could propel him, and maybe he takes off from this point forward. In all honesty, if you do take away the -1 rushing yard performance from the Patriots in Week 4 against the Bucs, they would have averaged at this point over 100 yards per game. So that is a little skewed there, the rushing attack numbers there. So this game, although between 2 average teams, should be fun to watch with Zach Wilson and Mac Jones going head-to-head for the second time. Just using the eye test, anyone can see that Mac Jones by far is the better quarterback and has developed this year much quicker than Wilson. Bill Belichick should have another field day against Wilson. And listen, we're not saying Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady, but early his mentality has mirrored Brady's, and we think Jones comes out after a week of a disappointing loss with something to prove this week. So with that said, our first pick of week number 7 in the NFL is going to be Patriots -7 over the New York Jets. With the second pick in week number 7, we are going to look at the 4:25 time slot between the Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Bears are 3-3 on the season. The Bucs are 5-1 on the season. This one is favored by 12 to the Buccaneers. The over-under is set at 47. The Bears really have had the definition of an up-and-down season. They've lost 3 games by 10 points or more. They've also won 2 games by 10 points or more. The best part of the Bears team right now is their defense, which ranks 7th in the NFL overall, only giving up 330 yards per game and only giving up 20 points per game. Now, their defense, it is going to be tested in this game against the Bucs, Tom Brady, and the best offenses in the league, basically. 426 yards per game and a total of 30 points per game. It's going to be hard for that defense. So, defense, offense pitted in this game. Offensively, though, the Bears also have had their issues, primarily at quarterback. Andy Dalton, his injury in week 2 may have been a blessing for the Chicago fan base, as Justin Fields has taken over the starting job. He adds a lot to their rushing attack with his mobility, which took a big hit as David Montgomery has been out on the IR with a knee injury for the past few weeks. However, they do rank dead last in the NFL in passing yards per game with 117 so far this season. A lot really has to do with Fields' first NFL career start against Cleveland, in which he only threw 68 yards. But they have to get the pass game going in this game because really they're not going to be able to run the ball against the NFL's best rushing defense. Speaking of the Bucs and their elite run defense and their defense as a whole, there is one major weakness on that defense, and it is their secondary. They did look a little bit better against Philly, but that is really because of how bad Hurts threw the ball in that game. So they're still giving up 280 passing yards per game. Even if Fields gets things going offensively for the Bears, they're going to have to outscore the high-scoring Buccaneers offense. Now, that offense is filled with talent and veterans. Only a Patriots defense in a cold, rainy New England weather has been able to hold the team under 28 points this season. Brady looked phenomenal as always so far. They are going to be without Antonio Brown and Gronk as they were ruled out early this week for the game. But listen, they still have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Brait, Howard, Fournette to throw to, so they'll be fine offensively. It is going to be very hard to defend this offense, and given the way that the Bears' defense has played against the better offenses in the NFL, we do not see a streak of good defense being played by the Bears to continue here. In addition, the Bucs can also run the ball very well with Fournette and Jones behind a very good offensive line. With essentially a 10-day break since their last game, the Bucs will be well-rested, ready to go in this game, and the offense is probably going to come out very hot once again. Now, Fields, he's looked progressively better in each game he started, and the Bears have now scored 20 or more points in the last 3 games. With Fields still playing with a chip on his shoulder and having to prove that he is the quarterback of the future for the Bears, we see him continuing this streak in this game, and he probably throws the ball a lot here and puts up a few scoring drives against a very bad Bucs secondary. On the other side of the ball, the Bucs will do what they want with the ball, as always. Brady and company should have no problem putting up at least 27 points in this game. There is going to be some rain in the forecast. That is in the forecast for Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. So be sure to watch that a little bit closer. But really, with both sides having weapons on the ball that can make plays, our second pick for week number 7 in the Bucs-Bears game is going to be over 47 points. Now, with our last pick in Week 7, we look to the Sunday Night Football game between the Indianapolis Colts and the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers coming off a bye week. They're favored by 4. The over-under has dropped all the way down to 43. Colts 2-4 on the season, and it looks like things have turned around for Carson Wentz and their offense. After only averaging about 18 points per game in the first 3 games, and they started 0-3, they've won 2 of the last 3 games, averaging about 27 points per game. And in all honesty, they should have won against the Ravens, but their defense did blow it late. Carson Wentz, from a straight statistical standpoint, this guy has been perfect this season, or near perfect. He's thrown for over 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and that was all the way back in week number 2. One of the reasons he has been so methodical moving the football down the field has been all the different weapons he's using around him. 7 different receivers have over 120 receiving yards on the season, with Pittman leading the way with 31 receptions and 403 yards. Of the 9 touchdowns thrown this season by Wentz, 5 different receivers have caught them, so he's really spreading the ball out well. Wentz will be facing, though, a good passing defense with the San Francisco 49ers, but we think this is with this kind of distribution, it's actually going to favor the Colts. And let's be honest, the 49ers D has been very up and down. They did give up 33 points to the Lions, 30 points to the Packers, and 28 points to the Seahawks. Now, a little of that can be attributed to their run defense that is in the bottom half of the NFL this season. And the Colts actually may try to exploit that rushing defense right off the bat, because they do have the number 11 ranked rushing offense behind Jonathan Taylor, who's averaging 5.4 yards per carry. The 49ers, they come into this game 2-3, and as mentioned earlier, they're coming off a bye week. Jimmy G is going to be back at the helm for the 49ers after a short stint with Trey Lance as the starter due to Garoppolo's injury. Garoppolo, in the 4 games that he has played, has yet to throw over 1,000 yards passing, only 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Now, if Garoppolo cannot succeed against a horrible Colts secondary, the Bay Area murmurs might sound like that of Trey Lance. And you'd have to think that, though, against a defense that's ranked 20th against the pass and that has given up the second most passing TDs, that Garoppolo and the 49ers will be able to move the ball up and down the field very easily. With an injury to Kittle, Deebo Samuel has really been the top receiver this year for the 49ers, and he and Garoppolo will most likely have to carry the team all day due to the Colts' very good rushing defense. Samuel, 31 receptions for 548 yards and 3 touchdowns. If the Niners somehow are unable to throw the ball, they're going to be doomed, as they do face a good rush defense, one that held the Ravens to 86 yards rushing on 25 carries. With the injuries at running back for the 49ers this season, the only route for this team is really going to be to sling the ball each and every possession. This, honestly, it's going to be a fun game to watch. Both teams have offensive weapons that can make plays and, for the most part, protect the football. We can see this game being a very, very vertical and back-and-forth affair, making for a very exciting Sunday Night Football game. So, with our third and final pick for the NFL Week number 7, we're going to take the Colts 49ers over 43. That's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. We are going to be live streaming the Chiefs-Titans game at the 1 o'clock Eastern time slot on Sunday, and as well our Monday Night Football pick will come out during halftime of the Colts and the 49ers game. So make sure you tune in for that. But as always, sit back, relax, enjoy week number 7 in the NFL, and we'll see you next week.